It's been 31 long years since the Chicago Bears have last won a championship. Inner-city teams such as the Cubs, the Blackhawks, and the Bulls have won multiple championships since. It's time to put the Bears back on top of Chicago. Welcome to the Chicago Bears franchise. Hello and welcome everybody to the Chicago Bears franchise. My name is Ribs the Gamer and I am very excited to be bringing you this series today. As you can see, it is the start of the 2019 season, so that means we are already 4 seasons in on this franchise, and I was gonna start a new one when I started YouTube, but there's one thing left I need to do with this Bears team, and that is win a championship. Last season, we made it to the Super Bowl only to end up losing to the Buffalo Bills, and with a roster like this, I just couldn't put it down. I needed to cleanse my demons. I needed to win a championship with this team, and we're going to get into the roster in just a second. But I just wanted to say welcome to the channel. I'm glad to have you here. Hopefully this could be the start of a long and prosperous YouTube journey. And yeah, just excited to have you guys. Anyways, guys, this is the roster. As you can see, some familiar names such as Alshon Jeffrey, Pernell McPhee, Leonard Floyd, and Danny Trevathan. But we also have some new players who I want to introduce to you guys. First is our starting quarterback, Martin Crowell. He is a 6'5" pocket passer out of Penn State, and he is very good. He was my first overall first-round selection back in the 2017 draft, as he's taken over Jay Cutler's role as the starting quarterback of this team. Moving on to the running backs on this roster, as you can see, we have 3 very good ones, including Jamion Bibbs here, who has 98 speed. His rushing numbers might not look that impressive, besides his yards per carry, of course. 6.5 and 5.8 is nothing to slouch over, with 7 touchdowns each of the past 2 seasons. But his receiving numbers are where this guy comes in big time. Over 1,300 yards receiving out of the backfield last year. We like to put him in the slot a lot, and he's just one of our most dynamic playmakers overall. Our other running backs on the roster include Christoph Cox, who is a power back and our lead back, and Alfie Hodge, who is a rookie we drafted this season in the 7th round. Now, moving on to our wide receivers, as you can see, we have a very talented bunch, led by the likes of Alshon Jeffrey, who is my favorite receiver in this game. We acquired Sterling Shepard as well as Tyler Boyd in trades. We also have talented second-year receiver Jesus McGowan, who was an undrafted prospect whose ratings I really liked. He's more of a developmental project at this point. We also have Deontay Barr, a 3rd-round selection in last year's draft, who was another developmental receiver who I think plays a lot higher than his rating indicates. We also have DeMichael Glover, who has shown promises as a kick returner with 94 speed, but is also can play in the slot. Moving on to our tight ends, we have Devin Clement, who isn't the fastest tight end in the world, but he is a very reliable catcher of the football. In terms of blocking, he's not going to give you quite what you want. However, he gets the job done. Mason Aldridge, more of the same way, just vice versa. He's more of our run-blocking tight end. Moving on, we have Ronnie Stanley, a guy who we acquired from the Baltimore Ravens, one of my favorite left tackles in the game, and a guy we are going to have to worry about re-signing this offseason, which should be very interesting. Moving on to guard, we have A.J. Chamberlain, a guy who I drafted in the 3rd round in my first draft class. A very solid overall left guard, and a guy we're going to have to worry about re-signing this off-season. Moving to center, we have the rookie Deron Patton, a 4th-round selection out of the University of Syracuse, who has promising ratings. Moving on to right guard now, we have Deron Chisholm, a guy who I actually acquired in the 7th round. Yes, the 7th round, and with those ratings, that's just unfair. An absolute steal, probably my biggest steal in all the franchise so far. Cole Fasani is a guy who plays, I think, a little below his ratings. As you see, you look at him and say he is a, elite right tackle in this game. However, he hasn't quite lived up to standard in a contract year. We'll see how he does. Defensively, we have Davion Fitzgerald, a guy who is an absolute monster. May not look like it at first, but you see that 86 power move, that 81 block shed, 87 tackling. He is just a monster who can play both end and defensive tackle. Now, we have DJ Chansey, a undrafted guy who I picked up in the first season, who has just played absolutely phenomenal for us. You may think he's only 70 overall, but in nickel and dime packages alone, he has racked up 10.5 sacks for us last season. Moving on to defensive tackle, we have Ahmad McLean, a 5th-round selection in my first ever draft class, who we've developed from an end to a defensive tackle in our nickel and dime packages. Outside linebackers, of course, we have Pernell McPhee, one of the stars of the current Chicago Bears, but he is a free agent in this upcoming offseason. So who will we replace him with? Well, my guy is Armand Christie out of Indiana, a rookie 1st-round draft pick this season. He has superstar development, 86 speed, 86 power moves, and we just need to get his zone coverage up a little bit to make him work. Now, for middle linebackers, we have Danny Trevathan, one of my favorite middle linebackers in all of this game. He has regressed a little bit. I had him up to a 90 overall. He has 80 speed now, which was down, I think, from 86 last season. But overall, this guy is a monster and our defensive captain. As you see some of his key ratings there, all in the mid-90s. He's just a guy who gets it done, a guy who brings down the running back every time he makes a tackle. And he is an awesome player. Moving on to right outside linebacker, we have, of course, Leonard Floyd, and I just wanted to show you guys how he's progressed throughout this franchise so far. We have also a very talented bunch of corners led by our 1st-round selection from our first year's draft in Omari Hopkins. I actually acquired this guy in a draft day trade for Bradley Roby, a guy who was constantly up on the trade blocks in the first few years of your connected franchise. But you see some of his key ratings here. He is an absolute shutdown corner and a guy who, again, is going to be a free agent in this offseason and demanding a lot of money. Now, I'm going to be showing you his statistics, and you might not really be blown away by what this guy produces on the field, but let me tell you here, he takes number 1 receivers completely out of the game. The reason his numbers are that low, because no one throws at him. He's just that good. Now, we're going to be moving on to Kyle Fuller here, who in real life is kind of, not so well liked by the Chicago Bears faithful. However, for this series, he's been a very good number 2 corner for me, and I signed him after year 1, or re-signed him rather. As you can see, from 2016 on, which is when we've been playing, he has 4 interceptions in at least every single season, 5 last season. Our other corners include Leland Averill, who plays mostly in the nickel, and Davis Carr, who plays mostly in nickel and dime sets because he has 87 zone coverage. Moving on to our safeties, we have Dion Bush, a guy who's been here since day 1, was a rookie with the Chicago Bears my first season in the franchise. As you see, I started him day 1, and he put up very big numbers. 112 tackles, led the team that season. In 2017, he fell off just a little bit, but because of injury, in 2018, he picked it right back up with 100 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 picks, and 6 forced fumbles. A quick little side note, I just wanted to show you guys the picks we have this year, as we've made a lot of good deals. Now, to set our goal for this season, we are obviously trying to win the Super Bowl. After losing in it last season, it is an aggressive goal, but I believe it's one we can achieve. Now, moving on to our schedule this year, we start off against the Los Angeles Crusaders, who ironically enough are the San Diego Chargers. We then go and play the Giants in our first home game, and then at the Saints. Then we have our first divisional game against the Vikings. Then we go on to play the Cowboys, then the Eagles, Chiefs, Packers, Broncos, the Packers again, Lions, Seahawks, Redskins, Vikings, Raiders, and we end with a home game against the Detroit Lions. Now, I just wanted to use the rest of this time in free practice mode to kind of go over the goals of this series, as well as kind of introduce myself. I'm obviously Ribs the Gamer. My nickname, if any of you are wondering, derives from me being a little kid and sucking in my belly to show off my ribs, and my parents always used to kind of make fun of me for it. So if any of you were wondering where Ribs the Gamer comes from, it was my childhood nickname. I'm currently 20 years old, and I am studying at the University of Southern Maine in Gorham in Portland, Maine. I just had transferred from Maine Maritime Academy on a business degree to pursue my love for history and ultimately one day become a teacher. I want to become a teacher mainly because I love to inspire people. I love to, just to have some kid come up to me one day and say, you really made my day today with this lesson or whatever, is kind of why, I started to have this idea of me wanting to become a teacher. Also, just because I have a genuine love for history, and that really kind of set it in stone in my mind that one day I wanted to do this. So I made the transfer move for schools, and because the school is so close to my home, I decided I wanted to live at home for obvious financial reasons. It costs a lot of money to go to college nowadays, and any dime you can really save is a dime worth saving. So I live at home, but obviously, this is a much different transition for me being actually at school. One of the positives, however, is, that I'm going to have a lot more time on my hands. And I've always wanted to do YouTube, and I thought if there was a time in my life where I was going to do YouTube, it was going to be now because of my current circumstances. That is not to say, however, I don't have a lot of work. I always have a ton of work in all of my classes, but I am very determined to fit YouTube into my schedule, as it's always been something I've wanted to do since being, a little kid and watching, the likes of, some of the bigger YouTubers out there. As I said, I am very busy, but I'm going to attempt to get uploads out there every single day for you guys. I think if you guys take the time out of your day to, watch my content, the least I can do for you is put a new video out there every day so you guys can enjoy it. In terms of this series, however, I'm going to try to get it up there at least 3 or 4 times a week, although this is subject to change as I have to get, sort of a feel for my YouTube schedule, balancing it out with things like my classes, my homework, and, my girlfriend, who also lives in my hometown. Now, enough with me. I'm sure you've had enough with that, and I'm sure all you guys want to hear about now is this series and where is it going. The first thing I am going to specify is that, yes, this is an all Madden difficulty series, and I will be playing on Mr. Hurricane's sliders. If you don't know Mr. Hurricane, he's a Madden YouTuber who puts out really good content and always has a very, very realistic slider set each and every single year. So I always usually rely on his to, implement into my connected franchise modes. Another reason why I picked the Bears at the beginning of the season, not really was because of YouTube, although I never really saw a lot of Bears franchises on YouTube, which made me, made me think that my franchise was going to be kind of unique to what the rest of the people on YouTube who I was watching were doing. And why I'm doing it in terms of YouTube, I kind of really finally wanted to win a championship with this team. A lot of you guys are probably asking, why are you picking this up in season 4? Why not start over? Why do this very unorthodox method? Like I said, it's just because I need to cleanse my demons with this team. I need to win a championship with this team. It's too good not to. Plus, I looked at, all of the other factors, and there's a very interesting future in, a lot of things that can make this series exciting for maybe multiple years to come. And again, that all kind of depends on what you guys think of this series, and maybe after season 1, if, once we start getting more support and more feedback on my videos and what's working and what's not working, we can then go on. Look at the speed of Jamie on bids, by the way. But we can go on to produce more what the fans want, which is the ultimate goal of mine is put content out that you guys want to see and that I enjoy making as well. But some of the interesting features that I think this franchise can bring is I have to re-sign my first draft class this offseason. And this draft class includes a 93 overall Omari Hopkins, a 91 overall Martin Crowell, who is my quarterback. We also have a 78 overall Ahmad McClain, who is a backup defensive tackle who does very well for us in our nickel packages. A.J. Chamberlain, our left guard, who is a very good player. Cole Fasani, who has a lot of potential as a right tackle and very good ratings. And Jamie on Bibbs, obviously my 98 speed do-it-all kind of flex back, who, as you can see by the numbers I showed you, puts up nearly 2,000 yards a season and over 20 touchdowns. And I didn't show you guys his kick return stats, but he had 4 kickoff returns for a touchdown in his first season, and he also had 4 in his second season. This is punts and kicks combined. In terms of the numbers, I think it's like 7 kickoff returns and 1 punt return. But either way, you see what he does for us. He's a great player, and you can see though the rest of these guys, throughout this practice, they're all really good players. And this is not even to mention I have Pernell McPhee, who I'm probably, we'll see about him as he's getting older. Pernell McPhee, Danny Trevathan, Tyler Boyd, Sterling Shepard, all hitting the free agent market, and I know I'm missing more. So it's going to be very interesting to, see who we pick and choose to kind of stay on this roster. Yeah, and another reason why I kind of wanted to do this too is, the idea of maybe starting to create a dynasty. I think this team can go on, if we can keep it together, and that's a big if. If we can keep it together, can, win multiple championships for multiple years to come. And a lot of, the YouTubers out there right now who do kind of year-long, Madden series are, they have teams who are contenders now. And I think we can, ride this contention wave at least all the way up till Madden 17, or Madden 18 rather, in August. And anyways, guys, I just wanted to say thank you so much for, viewing my channel and taking the time out of your day to view this video. It means a lot to me, being a new YouTuber and just starting up here. And if you could leave a like and subscribe, I would very much appreciate it. And thank you for showing, thank you for showing your love to the channel. And this is Ribs the Gamer signing off. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.